Hey, what is up everyone? So the first monthly update for Sea of Thieves Season 15 is out today, and in this video we're going to go over everything you need to know about the changes that have happened in Sea of Thieves. So there's a lot of stuff happening with the Hunter's Call, obviously with the theme for this season being called Wild Seas, so we're going to see lots of things with the Megalodons and Hunter's Call Voyages, and just lots of stuff going on with that faction in the game. So the first and probably the biggest thing from this update is new Ancient Megalodon encounters. So Ancient Megalodons are basically taking the regular Megalodons, make them a bit bigger, and then giving them special abilities. So it's really taking what we had before and then just amping it up a lot. So the patch notes say Ancient Megalodons have tore through from the Sea of the Damned and begun terrorizing pirate crews with their terrifying powers. Hunters should keep a keen eye on the waves for these deadly new foes. So with this update we have two new Ancient Megalodons. The first one is the feared Red Maw. It is a ferocious beast with a fiery attack. Crews must quell its supercharged assault by damaging it and releasing its pressure to avoid an explosion on their ship. So essentially, it basically acts kind of like a gunpowder keg. So if you don't take it out and reduce the pressure on it before it comes and attacks you, then you'll basically experience what amounts to like a keg exploding on your ship. So definitely watch out for that one. That one's going to be a little bit tricky to fight. The other Ancient Megalodon we got in this update is the menacing Barnacle Dread. This one has coral armor that needs to be removed before you can defeat the Megalodon, and you need to watch out because when it charges and attacks you, it will spawn electric ocean crawlers onto your ship, which is really cool. I've been waiting for that kind of ability to happen in the game ever since the Pirate's Life Tall Tales came out and they had it, or the ocean crawlers spawn onto the ship that you were on and fighting. I really thought it'd be cool if they were kind of lurking under the water and then just could like hop on your ship randomly and stuff. So this is kind of a step towards that. I think it's really cool just to be able to have like PvE enemies that are actually on your ship fighting you. Next up we have new Hunter's Call emissaries. So this is pretty cool. The Hunter's Call really hasn't had much improvement since it first released, and obviously with season 11 last year, all the training companies got boosted up levels, and they've already had the emissaries for a while now and stuff. So the Hunter's Call felt left out for a long time, and finally it's gotten some needed expansion. So with the Hunter's Call emissary, you can go on new Hunter's Call voyages that we'll talk about in a minute, and you can also do raid voyages just like the other trading companies. Reaching Emissary Grade 5 for the Hunter's Call will allow you to be able to see Ancient Megalodons on your ship's map. So similar to when you're the Reaper's Bones and you get to Grade 5, you're able to see other emissaries, you'll be able to do the same thing with the Ancient Megalodons for Hunter's Call. Now with your emissary, one of the main things you're going to want to do to increase your Hunter's Call emissary rank is the new Hunter's Call Voyages. So there's new fishing voyages that provide hunters with the locations of treasured fish where they gather near islands, tasking them to retrieve these new fish for the company. The treasured fish caught from these voyages are unique and highly valuable, so they cannot be cooked, eaten, or stored in players' inventory. They can be handed in for gold and reputation, but beware, they can also be stolen by other players. So that's pretty interesting. I'm curious to see how that works in the game, but I think it's nice, especially if you're into fishing a lot. This is going to be something that's a little bit more valuable than regular fishing in the game, because if you've tried fishing in the game regularly, it's just not a great way to make money. You basically make nothing from it. So it's really only if you like doing it. So I'm interested to see if these fishing voyages actually provide a lot of value in terms of what you can earn by doing them. But obviously, like I mentioned before, if you don't want to go fishing, you can still participate with the Hunter's Call stuff and be able to go fight the Ancient Megalodons just by doing the raid voyages like you can do for any other trading company. So if you want to go do a sea fort or a skeleton fort or whatever, you can do that. You just have to be a certain level in the Hunter's Call to unlock those different raid voyages. Going along with the changes for the Hunter's Call, there's also been an expansion for the trading company, where now it goes up to level 100 from the previous level 50, and also it has the distinction system like the other trading companies, so you can technically go up to level 500 if you just keep going through those distinction levels. Following from there, we have a set of accommodations and rewards that can be unlocked. So with the new Ancient Megalodon encounters, there's a range of new accommodations that have been added to the Reputation tab that will allow you to unlock rewards from the internal hunt set. There's also a new reward for the Reaper's Bones, now with the Hunter's Call emissary being in play, where you can now get the Disgraced Hunter's Hat for selling broken Hunter's Call flags. There's also some new pirate milestones for the Wild Seas update that give you access to some new trinkets like the Fearsome Flame, Coral Calamity, Tides of Tranquility, and the Gone Fishing Painting. So some nice, pretty good rewards to kind of try to strive for with this update, which is always a nice thing to see. Moving on, obviously we have a new Season Pass and Plunder Pass. I have videos in the works for both of those, so check those out later on today. and we'll be talking about all those different rewards and what I like and dislike about them. Season 15 also brings out some new Emissary Ledger rewards. So we have the Gilded Emissary Ledger, which adds the Circle of Death painting, the Rock Hopper Ornament, and a new title to unlock for this season. The initial rewards for the new Hunter's Call Emissary Ledger have also been added, with a new title and the Hunter's Call Inaugural Explorer sales and Hunter's Call Inaugural Forger sales. Next up, we have the Chest of Fortune, which has been moved to the Fort of Fortune, but I think is an interesting choice. I would have figured that they would have done it at the Ancient Megalodon encounters, but I guess for some reason they decided to just bring it back to the Fort of Fortune, which I think is probably a good thing. And with this change, we have the next set of cosmetics that you can get with this, with the next grade of the Fortune's Favor Accommodation, which gives you access to the Regal Fortune figurehead, bowl, and sails. We also have the next grade for the Reaper's chest, which will allow you to unlock the Regal Fortune pistol, cutlass, and double barrel pistol. With this update, there's a lot of improvements for performance, so hopefully the server quality and stuff will be a lot better than what we've been seeing over the last several months. So I think players will find that a little bit better. One thing that sticks out to me here is they talk about broad performance improvements have been made for players across both PC and console when playing at higher frame rates, improving loading behind the scenes based on the client's frame rate. These improvements have been tuned to target frame rates between 60 FPS and 120 FPS, but may also provide some improvements for higher frame rates where supported. So that's really good, and I'll have a picture up on screen that you can see some of these other performance improvements. Next up, there's some changes with the blowpipe, which was introduced last season, which now allows you, when switching between dart types, it is now more responsive and allows for quicker switching between firing, which I think is great because really, I didn't view the blowpipe as a good PvP weapon because it just was taking too long to load and just was very limited in many aspects. So hopefully this change helps make it more useful. Another change that I'm really happy about is with traps. So traps were another thing that was introduced last season, but I didn't find them that useful because they took up valuable space within the throwables inventory, and now that has been changed. So now the traps are separated from the throwables so they won't affect your throwables inventory. Players can now carry a maximum of 2 traps and 5 other throwables. You can still cycle through to get the trap through the throwables hotkey, so just keep that in mind if you have your controller set up or your keyboard set up where you're clicking through to cycle between your throwables, it will still appear in that rotation. Another interesting change that I saw was hidden skeleton fort vaults. So now the vaults beneath the skeleton forts will be hidden, so you can't like go up top and look through the cracks to be able to see what treasure is inside. This is an interesting change. I'm not really sure why they would make this change. I don't really see a problem with being able to like kind of see through. I think that was actually kind of a cool aspect of this, but for some reason they didn't want you to be able to see through the cracks to see the treasure inside. Another improvement that we got was with menu navigation on controller. So navigating through the various menus has been improved when using our controller, providing a more fluid experience when navigating in diagonal movement, and held directions now scrolling across larger areas. You can also customize this navigation stuff inside the game settings. So obviously with the new monthly update, we have a bunch of new stuff added to the Pirate Emporium. Really, there's only 2 things that I find that are that notable, which is the new pig pets that are added to the game, and the Stinging Tide pistol, which is the free item for this month. So make sure to go check those both out. And then for the Outpost cosmetics, I know we got other cosmetics that were added for accommodations and stuff for Hunter's Call, but I think this month's Outpost cosmetics are a little bit lackluster in terms of like how much we're getting. So the main thing that we're getting for new Outpost stock is for the Lucky Handset, you'll now be able to find instruments for that set. Along with that, the Season 8 Legacy cosmetics that were previously in the Season Pass for Season 8 have now arrived into the Outpost shop, so you'll be able to get stuff like the Cursed Bones clothing set and Flameheart's hat and cutlass. Another change that we got with this update is with the quest tables. So following the introduction of the quest table and the refreshed Voyages delivered in Season 11, players have discovered techniques to increase their progression and gold acquisition in unintended ways, and they basically added the ability for the Sea of Thieves team to apply cooldowns to specific voyages should crews start and cancel the same voyage repeatedly in a short space of time. Currently, there is no voyage restriction right now, but this is basically something where they don't have to update the game to be able to put these cooldowns on. So an interesting change. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it's not that big of a deal. It seems to be more of a thing to combat exploits and not really just people that are just normally like diving down for a voyage and then spawning in and then deciding to cancel their voyage because, you know, for whatever reason. I don't think it's really targeting those people. I think it's targeting the people that are doing exploits and stuff. Along with that, they've also added temporary voyage locking, which basically is a similar thing to what we just talked about, but instead of putting a cooldown on it, they just basically can lock the voyage at any time. So both of those things are meant to address the thing that I just was talking about. They've also added improvements for detection of band invasion, so that's a good thing, I guess, too. And in terms of accessibility changes, there is one major thing that was added, which is custom text overlays, which is nice for things like riddles. If you have trouble like reading the riddle maps, you can basically change it so that you can basically see a more clean text and kind of customize that to be a little bit easier for you to read. So all of that is good. In terms of bug improvements, there was tons of bug improvements that happened with this update, but nothing that really stood out to me. So that's where I'm going to end this video. I hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed, it'd be great if you left a like and subscribed, and check out some of the other videos I have about Season 15 coming out today. Well, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, y'all.